My name is Ruth Orta, and I am an elder, and I am a descendant of the people from this part of the world. And I live in Miwok. I have 7 children. One passed away in 2015, and I now raise her 2 younger ones, and they live with me. And I have 17 grandchildren. I have 38 great-grandchildren, and I have 14 great-greats. Still counting on the grandkids, the great-grandkids, and the great-greats. There's more to come. I want the people to know that we're still here. We've never left. My family has never left Alameda County for thousands of years. So I know I'm from here. And I just want everybody to know the story. I was 50 years old, and I got involved with the East Bay Regional Park District with Bev Ortiz, who was a park naturalist, and she's now retired. And we participated in the Ohlone intern program to teach us how our people lived, because up to that time, I was already, because I was 50, when I started learning, was when I got involved with I forget who it was, to find out that, they were digging up our people with all the burial things. And then when I really started to get to know the history of our people, and what people thought of us, they said we were extinct. That cracked me up. I was in my 40s at that time. Extinct. And so I went home to tell my mom that, Mom, did you know that we were extinct? And she said, what do you mean extinct? I said, there's a picture hanging in the Kelly Park. I worked for Santa Clara County Transportation, and I operated the bus at the time. And I had a senior tour bus that we took from San Jose over to the Kelly Park in San Jose. And so anyway, we had to wait for the seniors, to do what they were doing. So one of the bus drivers, it was 2 bus drivers, myself and the other lady that took the other group. And we went over to this little, and I had never been to Kelly Park. So we went to this little, like a train exhibit in there. And on one of the posts of the inside, they had a story about the Ohlones. And I went over to it because the driver told me, Ruth, aren't you Ohlone? And I said, yeah. And she says, there's a picture up here. It says that you're extinct. I said, what? So I went over, and yep, they said that the Ohlones that were here were extinct. So I said, that's crazy. And I told her that. And I'm a comedian anyway, deep down inside of me. But in it, I tell it like it is. And so anyway, I went up, I asked the bus driver, I said, do I look extinct? And she goes, no. I said, so we're not. When I went home and told my mom, and this is the exact words, and it fits and it's appropriate for today's politics. She says, that's what the government wants people to say. They don't want anybody to know that we are from this part of the world, her exact words, because that means that they came and took this land because there was nobody here. So that gives them the right to speak, that they're the owners and they were the first people here. She said, no, and don't you children ever forget, my children, you never forget where you came from and who you are, and you be proud. And that is the way my mom. So everything I do today and all my life is in honor of my mother.
The Western settler psychology is entitled, and it extracts resources, and it wants to capitalize and profit.
Exactly.
And it is a resource extractor on Black and brown bodies, and it takes away from nature without having any sense of responsibility. My mother taught me, and her grandmother taught her, when we pick anything, we thank it.
That's
The
right.
same way Auntie Ruth explained the first acorns that drop are going to the critters, are going to the animals, because
Mhm.
we are responsible. No matter how hungry we are, we still recognize that the rights of nature exist. We have a responsibility to how we behave in community, and not just community to human, but community together. And this is what we learn from our elders, our
Mhm.
aunties, our uncles, when we honor our ancestors and honor truth and history.
Yes.
We're in community together and we're responsible. And that sometimes means saying no to profiting, because that profiting, it's like the greed during the 1800s, during the gold rush. They poisoned the water, and now people are suffering from mercury poisoning because they were
Yep.
so greedy to get the gold.
Mhm.
The US government put out $1.4 million, $5 a head, 50 cents a scalp, to eradicate the California native.
Mhm.
And that's why many aunties and uncles of mine were always told, be proud you're Indigenous. Shh, don't tell anybody.
Yeah.
And I'm so lucky that I could be out loud and proud.
Yep. And I've told people who they used to call us the three, and then to top it off, they were calling us the wrong name.
Right?
The three little Indian girls.
Yeah. Yeah. Indian, American Indian, Native American. It's like, did you know someone born today could be considered Native American? It's like, we are Indigenous. Or when we reconnect to our language, when we revitalize that language, most of us just want to be called people.
Yeah.
But the language is important.
We're the real people from here.
Yeah. The first people from Chichenyo territory. I'm Mutsun.
When I talk to people nowadays, and they're shocked to know that
You
I
exist.
says that when they leave, I says, and don't forget, you tell your whole family and all the people you know that you met a real person, a real native from this part of the world. I'm speaking here to you so you can help learn.
Yep. My mommy says that too.
I know my mom.
Rematriate the land.
Yep.
We are of a matrilineal, matriarchal society.
Yeah.
And that's where we're a little off today. Men in power they cannot make healthy decisions about our earth.
Can't.
Because if you're a being who could bring life into the world, and if you're able to bring life into the world, that little being's life is more important than your own. And if you're able to take your own personal self out of the equation about decisions and how it impacts somebody else and everyone else, that helps you make a decision about the community. So our aunties, our grandmas, our matriarchal leaders would be making the final decision around occurrences that would have had trouble finding truth. Right now, the patriarchal society is absent-minded of the sacred, and that's what's currently governing our structures, and it's problematic.
Mm.
There's different ways people can honor truth and history. As settlers, one, acknowledging how much settlers benefit off the land, and, well, becoming familiar with truth and history. Not many people knew that the first time the Native American had the right to practice religion freely, legally, was 1978.
Yeah. Isn't that something?
That's 10
But
years
then-
older than me.
But then all the people came from all over the world. In other words, is it still going?
Yeah, we're
What
going.
upset me
It upset you.
is when they came here and they got to wear their dress, speak their language, eat their food, sell their food. And all our life, we weren't able to take any of our food to school to eat.
Yep.
You know, or participate in, or speak anything, even the Spanish language that they gave us. We couldn't even speak that.
The boarding schools would punish you for
Yeah.
speaking Indigenous language,
Uh-huh.
cutting tips of fingers off and whacking your knuckles with rulers,
Yep.
and suppressing language. Suppress
Yep.
the language, cut your
Yeah.
hair,
Yep.
force you so you have to get a license to hunt and a license to fish.
Yeah.
And get permits to go to the land so you can harvest your own cultural resources, making it illegal to be you. So
Mhm.
many people want to be aligned with Native peoples, or they want to say, oh, I'm a Native too, but do they really know how much work it is just to fight for the right to exist? Just to exist.
Yep. Uh-huh.
And so what I say is, when settlers want to learn, become familiar with Native peoples and histories.
Yeah.
Ask or be in relationship with Indigenous peoples. Nothing about us without us when it comes to decisions about how we impact the land, impact educational systems, impact governing structures. Bring natives in. And then ask the natives what books they would recommend, like native vetted books, because there are books that exist that talk about native peoples, but they do not talk correctly.
Nope.
So therefore, ask native peoples about Indigenous books and resources, how we can honor truth and history, how we can...
Then they would learn how to take care of the water and take care of the trees and everything.
Not many people value history. They don't value why something is the way it is. So that's why I talk about decolonizing and re-indigenizing.
Yeah, I like that.
Decolonize, to question everything. Why are we doing what we do now? But to re-indigenize, if we can't go back to the past and we can't make things the way they were, how do we bring in Indigenous practices in the now? How are we respecting the plants? Oh, we're still making sure that the acorns go to the critters. My mom said, take a pinch of tobacco or a song, make an offering to the plant, thank it for its life that's lived and the gift that's given. And remember how much you impact that living system. So don't pick something just to throw it on the ground. I get so mad when youngins just grab stuff and go, okay, throw away. I'm like, if everybody did that, we wouldn't have any greenery. And it breaks my heart that we are not brought up in a culture of accountability and humility. That's one thing about Indigenous peoples that is quite common, is being raised in a culture of accountability, humility, and reciprocity. We know where we've come from all our lives, our ancestors' lives. The first peoples came from the earth, or we came from the ocean, or we came from the volcanic rocks, or we come from these branches. Indigenous peoples have histories and narratives all around where they are. And our elders and our community members hold that wisdom, and we need to listen, and we need to be patient and loving and stand strong.
That's right.